In the past few years, Hollywood has made huge steps in representing everyone in media. Women are no longer treated as objects, but are actually taken seriously. People of color have been able to share their stories on a much larger scale. And we've gotten to explore a diverse set of religions. However, one form of representation that's often overlooked is neurodivergency. The terms neurodivergent or neurodiverse refer to people whose thought patterns, behaviors, or learning styles fall outside what is considered normal or neurotypical. People who are considered neurodivergent have developmental disorders, including but not limited to autism, ADHD, Tourette's syndrome, and various learning disabilities like dyslexia. But the one we're going to focus on today is autism.
Wait, I gotta tell you something, okay? I'm on the spectrum.
Is that like a workout program?
No, it's a diagnosis. Excuse me. Like, my brain doesn't work the same as yours does.
Autism is one of the most common representations of neurodivergency in media, and although that sounds like a good thing, the problem is Hollywood doesn't really like to acknowledge it. And when they do, it's often a terrible representation, and it gives people who actually have these disorders a bad image. Shows like The Big Bang Theory and Atypical paint this picture for the public audience that people with autism are high maintenance, annoying, selfish, and have no filter whatsoever. It sucks because when a show actually tries to cover a serious issue, it comes off to the public eye as a joke. For example, the show The Good Doctor is about a surgeon who has autism, and they try to depict one of the dark sides of autism called a meltdown.
I am a surgeon! I am a surgeon! I am a surgeon! I am a surgeon! Dr. Hahn, I am a surgeon!
A meltdown occurs when an autistic person has been overwhelmed by stimuli or can no longer handle the overwhelming situation. To a neurotypical person, when an autistic adult is having a meltdown, it looks like they're just throwing a temper tantrum, but in actuality, they have a complete loss of control and behavior. Although it was a tad bit overdramatic, The Good Doctor did a great job of depicting what an autistic meltdown would look like in adults. The audience, however, didn't see this as a very serious situation that autistic people have to face every day, but instead saw it as an opportunity to do this.
Gimme, I am a surgeon.
I am a surgeon! Doctor Hahn! I am a surgeon!
I am a surgeon.
By taking part in this, these people were not just making fun of the show, but instead were making fun of people with autism, whether they realized it or not. In my opinion, the show Community has the best representation for autism with their character, Abed.
You sat in a room for 26 straight hours. Didn't that bother you?
Yeah, I was livid.
Then why didn't you leave?
Because you asked me to stay and you said we were friends.
Part of the reason for this is because Dan Harmon, the writer and creator of the show, is an autistic man himself. But the main reason is Abed isn't just the autistic character, he's a character who has autism. He is not treated as a weird character, but instead is treated as a character who thinks differently than everyone else. Now, we've talked about the good and the bad representation, but let's talk about the representation we do have that Hollywood won't even acknowledge. There have been many instances in TV and film where characters show obvious traits of autism, but the creators never acknowledge it, and that is a practice called autism coding. No one knows for sure, but a common theory for why studios do this is because they are afraid of losing viewers. There are proven studies that neurotypical people are less likely to interact with autistic people because of negative subconscious judgments they have about them. So basically, the theory is saying that if the studio told you that Wednesday Addams, SpongeBob, Gregory Eddy, Eddie Munson, Captain Holt, or Christina Yang were autistic, people would just stop watching for that very reason. A person I have seen do this the most is writer, director, and now co-CEO of DC Studios, James Gunn. He was the writer on the Scooby-Doo movies back in the early 2000s, and it's widely agreed that Velma was an autistic-coded character. When he wrote and directed The Suicide Squad, many people agree that both Polka Dot Man and King Shark were autistic, and people say the same thing about Vigilante and the Peacemaker spin-off show. When he wrote and directed all three of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he was actually recognized for his work with Drax and Mantis, stating that one of his many joys was discovering how his characters spoke to people on the spectrum. Representation is important for everyone, and that includes people with autism. Although autistic coding is a small step into representation, the validation would be so much better. Validation will lead to true representation, and representation leads to normalization.
Is this game popular with autistic people?
Why would you say something like that?
Because I'm starting to love it.